Have you ever felt it? That specific, undeniable pull. It's not just hunger. It's a targeted desire for the perfect crispiness of a French fry, the specific savory melt of a fast food burger, the satisfying fizz and sweetness of a particular soda. Welcome back to The Chill Scientist. This is a channel where we do deep dives into interesting scientific topics, designed in a way for you to listen to in the background while you relax, do housework, or even to sleep. Now, back to the science of fast foods. It's a craving so precise you can almost taste it before you have it. We often dismiss this feeling as a simple lack of willpower, a personal failing. But what if it's not that simple? What if that craving isn't just a random feeling, but the result of a deliberate, calculated, and astonishingly precise science? What if I told you that behind every fast food meal is a team of scientists in white coats, armed with advanced chemistry and neuroscience, all working towards a single goal: to engineer a product so perfectly irresistible that your brain has almost no choice but to want more? This is not a story about good food or bad food. It is a story about the science of us. It's a journey into the intricate wiring of our own brains, the ancient survival instincts that drive us, and the quiet, brilliant engineering designed to speak directly to them. So, get comfortable, relax, and let's uncover the hidden science of the inescapable craving. Our journey begins with a concept that sounds beautiful, almost poetic: the Bliss Point. In the world of food science, the Bliss Point is not a feeling. It is a number. It is the precise amount of salt, sugar, and fat that can be added to a product to achieve the maximum possible craving from the consumer. Too little, and the food is bland. But surprisingly, too much, and the food becomes overwhelming, and our brains begin to register a sense of aversion. The Bliss Point is the perfect peak on that curve, the golden ratio of pleasure. The Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist Michael Moss, in his book Salt, Sugar, Fat, described it based on his conversations with food scientists. He said, "They're on this quest for the perfect amount of sugar that will send us over the moon, that will have us coming back for more." Imagine a laboratory far from any kitchen. Here, food scientists conduct endless tests. They create dozens of versions of the same product: a chip, a soda, a sauce, each with a minutely different formulation. Panels of taste testers sample each one, rating them on a scale. The data is collected, analyzed, and plotted on a graph. The scientists are looking for the peak of that bell curve. That is the Bliss Point. This science arose from our evolutionary past. For most of human history, calories were scarce. Our brains evolved a powerful survival mechanism. When we encounter foods high in sugar, fat, and salt, the densest sources of energy, our brain's reward system floods with a neurochemical called dopamine. It's the brain's way of saying, "Yes, this is good for survival. Remember this. Do it again." Fast food is not just food. It is a carefully engineered delivery system for these three key elements. The salt on the fries is not just sprinkled. It is calibrated. The sugar in the soda is not just added. It is optimized to a level that provides maximum pleasure without being cloying. The fat in the burger is designed to provide a rich, satisfying mouthfeel that lights up this ancient reward pathway. They have found the button for pleasure, a button our ancestors used to find rare, life-sustaining nutrients in the wild. And they are pressing it over and over and over again. But the Bliss Point is only the beginning. True irresistibility is not just about taste. It's about the entire physical experience. It's about texture, sound, and a concept that food scientists call mouthfeel. Think about a perfect potato chip. The experience begins with the sound, that sharp, satisfying crackle. Our brains are hardwired to associate crisp, crackling sounds with freshness. It's an auditory signal that the food is good to eat. Charles Spence, a professor of experimental psychology at Oxford University, has conducted studies on this very phenomenon. His research found that people will perceive a chip as tasting fresher and crispier if the sound of the crunch is amplified. As he puts it, the sound of the food is a forgotten flavor sense. Food companies know this. They spend millions engineering that specific crunch, measuring the exact frequency and decibel level for maximum satisfaction. Then comes the texture. This is where we encounter a fascinating principle known as vanishing caloric density. This refers to foods that melt in your mouth, like a puffy cheese curl or a potato chip, because the food dissolves so quickly it tricks your brain into believing you haven't consumed many calories. The satiety signals that would normally tell you you're full are delayed. You can keep eating and eating without feeling full. The sensation simply vanishes, leaving you wanting the next one. This is also why layering textures is so important. Consider a deluxe fast food burger. You have the soft, yielding bun, the savory, firm patty, the crisp crunch of lettuce, the slight snap of a pickle, the smooth, creamy sauce. Each bite is a complex symphony of sensations. This textural variety keeps your brain engaged, preventing something called sensory-specific satiety. That's a scientific term for the feeling of getting bored with a single taste or texture. By constantly introducing new sensations in a single bite, the food remains exciting to your brain for longer, encouraging you to finish the whole thing, even when you're no longer truly hungry. It is a carefully choreographed dance of textures, designed to hold your attention until the very last bite. Now, let's go deeper to the molecular level, to the chemical reactions that create the flavors we find so addictive. One of the most powerful tools in the food scientist's arsenal is the Maillard reaction. It is not a flavor you add, but a flavor you create. It is the complex cascade of chemical changes that occurs when sugars and proteins are exposed to heat. It is the reason bread bakes into a golden brown crust. It is the reason coffee beans, when roasted, develop their deep, rich aroma. And it is the reason a burger patty, seared on a hot grill, develops that savory, complex, almost meaty flavor that is so deeply satisfying. The Maillard reaction creates hundreds of new flavor and aroma compounds that weren't there before. The French fry is perhaps the perfect vessel for this chemistry. It is a master class in food engineering. If you look at the ingredient list for McDonald's fries, you'll find it's more than just potatoes, oil, and salt. It includes an ingredient called dextrose. Dextrose is a simple sugar, a form of glucose. It's not added for sweetness, but for color. Potatoes vary in their natural sugar content throughout the year. By bathing the cut potatoes in a dextrose solution, the company ensures that every single fry has the exact same amount of surface sugar, guaranteeing a perfect, uniform, golden brown color. From the Maillard reaction every time, in every restaurant, anywhere in the world. They also add sodium acid pyrophosphate, a chemical that prevents the potatoes from turning a grayish color after they're cooked. It's all part of ensuring absolute consistency. The process is often a two-step fry. The first fry, at a lower temperature, cooks the potato through, creating a soft, fluffy interior. The potato is then frozen. This freezing process causes the water inside the potato to form sharp ice crystals, which rupture the potato's cell walls. When it is fried a second time just before serving at a much higher temperature, something magical happens. The ruptured surface allows moisture to escape rapidly, creating an incredibly crispy, blistered outer shell. This is the Maillard reaction in overdrive. Meanwhile, the fluffy interior remains soft. It is the perfect textural contrast, created through a precise application of chemistry and physics. But what about flavors that aren't created by cooking? This brings us to the hidden world of the flavor industry. The vast majority of processed foods, from sodas to yogurts to chips, owe their taste not to their core ingredients but to carefully constructed flavor compounds created in a lab. The scientists who do this work are called flavorists. A skilled flavorist can create the taste of a fresh strawberry using a cocktail of chemicals, none of which may have come from an actual strawberry. These artificial flavors can, in some ways, be more compelling than the real thing. They are a simplified, amplified version of reality. As one flavorist explained in an interview, we are making the flavor of what the consumer expects the food to taste like. They are engineering the idealized memory of a flavor. This consistency is something nature cannot provide, but a laboratory can. To make these flavors even more potent, companies often use flavor enhancers. You may have seen them on ingredient lists: disodium inosnate or disodium guanylate. On their own, they don't taste like much. But when combined with salt and other sources of glutamate, they act as synergists. They amplify the savory umami taste, making the flavor of the food bloom in your mouth with an intensity that is hard to resist. So, when we feel that pull, that specific craving for a fast food meal, what is it we are truly feeling? It is the ghost of our ancient survival instincts. It is the echo of a perfectly engineered Bliss Point. It is the memory of a symphony of sensations. And it is the deep chemical satisfaction of a perfectly executed Maillard reaction, amplified by laboratory-designed flavors. But what does this carefully engineered experience actually do to our bodies and our brains? Dr. Nora Volkow, the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, has done extensive research on how our brains react to these foods. Using brain imaging, she has shown that the dopamine rush from hyperpalatable foods can look strikingly similar to the brain's response to addictive substances. She explains that for some people, the repeated exposure can lead to a down-regulation of the dopamine system. This means the brain adapts, and you need more and more of the stimulus to get the same feeling of pleasure. It's a feedback loop that can lead to compulsive consumption. Further studies have shown that a diet high in these processed foods can lead to inflammation, not just in the body, but in the brain. Specifically, it can affect the hippocampus, a region critical for learning and memory. One 2020 study from Ohio State University found that just 4 weeks of eating a diet high in processed foods led to a strong inflammatory response in the brains of aging rats, accompanied by memory loss that wasn't seen in rats on a healthy diet. The impact on our physical health is just as rapid. In a well-known experiment, Dr. Chris Van Tulloken, a British doctor and scientist, put himself on a diet where 80% of his calories came from ultra-processed foods for 30 days. The results were shocking. He gained over 13 pounds, but more importantly, his metabolism changed, and his body's hormonal signals were disrupted. Brain scans revealed that new connections had formed between the reward centers of his brain and the areas that drive repetitive, automatic behavior. He described feeling that his brain was telling his body to consume these foods without his conscious input. It was, he concluded, evidence of an addictive process. And the effects reached down into the very core of our biology, our gut microbiome. One study at King's College London had a participant switch to a diet heavy in fast food for just 10 days. In that short time, he lost about a third of the diversity of his gut bacteria species. This loss of diversity is linked to a host of health issues, as a healthy microbiome is essential for everything from digestion to immune function. The fast food diet had allowed a small number of less desirable bacteria to thrive, while the beneficial species starved. Understanding this science is not about assigning blame. It is about empowerment. It allows us to see the craving not as a personal weakness, but as a testament to the profound power of our own biology and the brilliant, quiet science designed to connect with it. It is the ghost in our machine, and by understanding how it works, we can begin to understand ourselves. Take a deep breath. The craving is not you. It is simply a signal. A story written in chemistry and neuroscience. A story that now you know how to read.